We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Jerome Baker, Miami Dolphins linebacker. He definitely had his best game of the season versus the Eagles. I don't think I've made a video on him all year because he's been pretty bad, lackluster, just not having a great season. And this one, I think it was one of the better games of his career, especially versus the run. Usually you don't see him making these types of plays, but he's making instinctive plays. Him and Long were working together so well. Like, I made a video on David Long yesterday, and they were just playing in tandem. Now, if they can do this at a more consistent level like this, it doesn't have to be this level for the rest of the season. I feel very confident about this defense getting healthy in the secondary. They're looking much better versus the run. Baker and Long clearly have looked more and more comfortable, I think, as the weeks have gone on versus the run. But this week, they were playing lights out. Great job from they were doing a lot of communicating up front. Baker recognizes the pull right away. He sees a pulling right guard. You're keying that, seeing this through, so he's just going with this slowly. Doesn't want to over pursue. Maybe even over pursues a little bit, but he sees this hole opening up, filling in this gap. This guy's going to work down here. Is able to basically clear this out, and then once he sees Gainwell come over the top, he just scrapes, meets him in the hole, only for a 1-yard gain. This is really good stuff from Jerome, just playing at a more disciplined level, not taking himself out of position, and then also not, like, sometimes he just will either try to shoot down too fast and take himself out of the play, or like he'll be too patient trying to allow the play to develop, and then that allows guys to get to him to block him at the second level. This is like a perfect mix of it, being aggressive enough downhill but under control to meet these guys near the line of scrimmage. So really good job from Baker in this game. Got to give credit where it's due. Baker, maybe it's the neck brace. It's neck brace Baker, makes him a different player. Like, Holland wore it once last year and had one of his best games. Maybe it's just the Dolphins defenders got to start wearing the neck brace for sure. Baker, the zone read, he's actually responsible for hurts. I like this little nuance here that they have, because usually it's the defensive end that's responsible, because he's reading the end. If the end crashes down on the running back, then Hurts is going to pull it. Baker's just keying that the whole time, and he has enough lateral range, beat the block that's trying to meet him out in space. This is one area where I don't worry about Baker, is when he just has to basically key one thing and then use his speed to get there out to the edge, because he has a lot of speed. They could upgrade at the linebacker spot, but if they play like this, I'm not too worried about the position anymore. They do need to be better in zone coverage. Baker can go out there and play man versus running backs. He did actually a pretty good job in this game, playing man versus Swift. Like, he was always in a good spot in those types of things. But sometimes versus zone, they get slightly out of position, and those can lead to big plays. But I think that will become less of a problem once the secondary becomes healthy. Here we have Baker, just, being the hook guy, but he's just relating to number 3. He sees the number 3 go out there. Everyone's basically matching across. Usually they're seeing this, right? They're basically running cover 6, it looks like, or cover 8, actually. But they are playing cover 2 at the top, and he just matches the number 2 coming to the inside, and Baker relates to number 3. They're not, like, passing it off or anything. This guy becomes like a fast 3 to out here. He's just going to relate to it, stay inside leverage, but have enough speed to get out there and then make that tackle. He tries to spin out of it. He did miss one later on Swift, but overall it was a pretty good game. Just when things are kept in front of him and he's able to see it all, and he's just sort of keying that one thing, he can make some good plays. One of my favorite plays from Baker, Dolphins go like very heavy up front. They played a lot of more base in this, less nickel, especially early on to stop the run. Clearly with their fronts, they just had Baker playing basically as a single linebacker because Long's up on the outside. And look at how fast he keys this pull and just shoots downhill. Doesn't want to get blocked because they're trying to combo here, and then 68 is going to climb and get to Baker. But Baker, who's usually not like the most aggressive gap shooter like this, usually it's more like Long's thing, he keys this. He sees this space open up right here in this B gap, and he just flies downhill. 68's too late to get to him, so he gets a little bit knocked off balance there. But now him and Van Ginkel meet Swift for no gain. It's a very good trigger from Baker, but also, not taking himself out of the play. Because sometimes when you trigger like that, you can leave some big open holes. But the whole run defense, the whole run fit, it was very nice to see. They're clearly becoming more comfortable in that area. And I think they'll be fine in coverage once, they didn't. I'll break down that later in the week. Just looking at the corners in this game, they definitely were the biggest weakness. But I won't be as worried once they get Ramsey back, because Ramsey back helps out so much. It, like, basically, it's like a kill two birds with one stones type of situation where Ramsey comes back. It also allows Kohu to play nickel, so that's like 2 really good things. And then Howard should be back very soon as well. This time, Eagles running a lot of gap scheme, and Baker and Long did a pretty good job, but they also did a good job versus some zone runs. And this is versus one of the best running teams in the NFL, literally like top 3 and versus a very good O-line. He's responsible for this gap right here, and he's able to peel off of it. This is really nice job scraping, being responsible for this gap and this gap. This is his primary gap. Once he sees Gainwell, he's anticipating this. He sees this opening up. This is just good anticipation skills. He doesn't want to get blocked by 78, but he doesn't want to instantly shoot down here, because if he tries to scrape off too soon, Gainwell will stay to the outside. So once he sees Gainwell make that one cut, he peels off and then just meets him in the hole. That's really good linebacker play from Baker, clearly playing at a much smarter level in this game versus Philadelphia. Another example of Baker, this time, not as far play side, but this versus some gap scheme and forcing back to the inside, seeing, the pulling guards, Long is recognizing, calling it out. So he wants to get over the top, scrape down. Van Ginkel, who's the edge defender, usually your force guy, sees the pullers coming and he's left unblocked, so he tries to squeeze down to constrict the run lane right away to block up all this room, and that's going to make Gainwell bounce. So Baker has to cross the face of 89. He does a good job. Cross the face so you can get to the outside. Now beat your block. This guy's going to try to bounce this out here. If Baker doesn't get outside leverage like this, he could easily bounce this out here and get some extra yards, but it forces him all the way back into these 3-4 guys. So really good job by Baker. Even when he's not making the tackle, he's being involved. Another decent job here in coverage. Unfortunate. This was the play where they try to run the drag across. This is actually a very similar play they ran earlier in the game versus the Dolphins, basically with Goddard leaking behind. They run the post, they match up number 2, but they do a way better job passing this off. Good job by Perry Nickerson, actually, because last time with number 2, the nickel carried, or the safety carried this, but then they tried to throw the corner behind it, and Baker's able to match Devontae Smith on the drag, so it's not as open this time. So great recovery by the whole defense. Unfortunately, Baker's not able to get the pick, but he was in a position. It was just the ball was tipped at the line, and he tried to go up and make this play, and he had a chance, but Devontae just barely pulls it away. Unlucky play, but he was in the right position, so I do like that rep overall from Baker, and then he gets it the lucky one next time. Really good job from Baker here. This is one where he probably saved a pretty long run. There was actually some room to work with, or at least he stopped this from being much more dangerous, because this is where you got to work in tandem. We've talked about it all year. Long is so aggressive, and he will take these opportunities to blitz, run blitz, or to shoot gaps when he wants to. And the other linebacker has to be able to make up for this. So he sees him shooting into that gap, but he feels the split zone action. They're flowing this way, but the tight end split zoning this back, and he sees that Swift's aiming point is already looking like he might cut this back. So he presses up into this, doesn't want to just completely commit to the cutback lane in case he hits up in this hole. And then once he sees him clear this, he gets over the top and makes this tackle, because if they blocked Holland here, that could have been a huge run. They ended up missing the block on Javon, so Javon probably would have stopped it as well. But Baker meets him, stops it only for a 4-yard gain when that had potential to be much worse. And here's his touchdown. Pretty lucky. This is more of a big play by Kohu getting the tip, but Baker ends up being in the right place, right time, and getting that interception, getting that touchdown. So, this was kind of just the ball doesn't lie type of situation. Karma, it happened. And this is actually very similar to last time. They have the defensive end closing down on the running back. And Baker sees that and it's it might be read option. Read option, get over the edge. But it's actually an RPO, zone read. And now Kohu's here too. So he was ready to get it if it cut back through here. Kohu's got the outside blitz coming. He knocks it down and it just goes right into Baker's hand. And he gets a big time play. And I think, good for Jerome. He kind of got unlucky on that other bounce pass. And for how good he played this game, I like that he got to score a touchdown. Eagles trying to go for RPO action to the outside, getting the linebackers to pull. I think Baker does a pretty good job of staying patient, not just he flows with it a little bit, which you're supposed to do, but once he sees him pull, he knows that he's got to get back and get into the throwing lane. And if he's not right here, this ball probably gets completed. Hurts has to throw it on this receiver's back shoulder, because if he throws it in stride with him, Baker has a chance to at least hit it, but it hits the guy on the back of his foot, because Baker is able to at least disrupt this just enough. It's not a perfect play when you're playing an underneath zone coverage, but clearly you can tell from this angle that if he put it where he was supposed to be, which is over here, Baker had a much better chance to make a play on that ball. So pretty impressed from what I saw from Jerome pretty much all game long. Let's play the run breakdown for Jerome Baker. Another good job in basically in coverage, just seeing the guy working across the formation, getting there to take away that quick option. This is towards the end of the game. They see this. He's done a really good job versus the run, staying patient. He sees the tight end working back across on a slide, and this is play action. He's responsible for it, so he's ready, staying disciplined. He sees it. He's just under control. good lateral explosion range to get there. He's got a lot of speed. And while Long has kind of been, I think, been the better linebacker this year overall for sure, like with stopping the run, and he's had his faults as well. I will give this to Baker. He's been better in coverage. And I do think, to be fair, I would give both of them. I think both of them have been very good blitzers. They're both probably at their best when blitzing. A lot of speed there. And I think Baker could still be a lot better in a lot of areas. But I got to give him some credit when he plays to this level. Because I feel like he gets a lot of criticism from this fan base. And, a lot of it is fair. But sometimes it's a little over the top. But good game from Jerome Baker. Definitely one of his better games, I think, throughout his whole career, especially like versus the run. He played very, very consistent. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.